Channel 3 Burlington.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. The star witness testifies at Senate Whitewater hearings and begins with an apology.
The witness was Roger Altman, Deputy Secretary of the Treasury. He told senators on the Banking Committee he never intended to mislead them when he testified before the panel earlier this year. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer covered today's hearing.
It was a tense moment. Committee members had already accused Altman of giving the White House inside information about the investigation of the Whitewater case and then misleading them about it. But Altman claimed he had misled no one, had done nothing wrong, and added he had not been the one who told the Treasury Department's top lawyer to brief the White House on the case.
I have no recollection of asking Ms. Hansen to go to the White House last fall. I did not task her to do that, using that odd word, to the best of my memory.
Last night, however, Ms. Hansen told the committee she did brief the White House on the case last fall at Altman's direction. But when the committee played back tapes of Altman's February appearance before it, it appeared neither Altman nor Ms. Hansen, sitting behind him, had disclosed that information to them.
Nobody in your agency, to your knowledge, advised the White House staff that this was going to be a major, this could be a major source of concern?
Not to my knowledge.
For the administration, it was a long, embarrassing day when their version of events was repeatedly challenged. Senators ripped into young Treasury aide Josh Steiner, who kept a diary of the events but found himself today disavowing much of it, as when he said he would now use different words to describe what he once called Altman's graceful dodging of earlier questions from this same committee.
If I were to describe the testimony today...
Oh, I'm sure of that. I never doubted that. Lord have mercy. I knew you'd use different words today. But you tell me the difference between ducking and lying.
Senator, as I said before, I do not believe that Mr. Altman lied to this committee or attempted to mislead this committee.
Whatever really happened in all this, the administration is coming off in these hearings as a group that is having a hard time getting its stories straight. That's never good. Connie.
Thank you, Bob Schieffer on Capitol Hill. Dan?
Thanks, Connie. Senate Democratic leader George Mitchell today jumped in and presented his proposal for trying to better America's health care system. Senator Mitchell's bill would cover fewer Americans than the House version and would delay even the possibility of employers paying up until the next century. Still, Mitchell's plan might be the best bet yet to actually see the light of law. Linda Douglas has been covering the health care debate and has tonight's report.
After weeks of agonizing negotiations, Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell unveiled a health care plan that tries to satisfy all sides, a proposal that might cover most of America without requiring employers to pay.
Our true goal is the well-being and peace of mind that Americans should have with respect to their health care.
The Mitchell plan aims to cover 95% of the population by the year 2000. It provides subsidies for low-income people, phasing in coverage for poor children first. And it forces down insurance rates. If a state fails to cover 95% of its population, employers in that state will be required to pay 50% of insurance premiums unless Congress finds another method of financing. Recognizing this may be as close as the Senate ever gets to universal coverage, liberals praise the plan.
This bill is going to take us to the road of universal coverage. It is going to do it on a voluntary basis.
But some moderate Democrats and Republicans said they can't support any proposal that might force employers to pay someday.
It seems to me anyway that the employer mandate is just, it's there, and it's really not acceptable.
As the health care debate moves onto the Senate floor, the White House is trying to keep up the pressure from the outside. Health care reform advocates fanned out over the Capitol, while Mrs. Clinton held a pep rally to denounce her opponents.
They honestly don't believe everyone in America is entitled to health care.
The White House had praise for the Mitchell plan, even though it doesn't guarantee universal coverage. It may not be what the president promised, but it may be as close as he's going to get. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
When does a habit become an addiction? It depends on whom you ask, especially if the topic is tobacco. The government and the cigarette industry today renewed their battle of the experts. But so far, neither side has been able to produce a smoking gun. Correspondent Bob Orr has the latest on the nicotine fight.
Tell me when the last time you had a cigarette?
Just about 3 minutes ago.
And how many?
Joanne Riddell takes the injection therapy at the nicotine withdrawal clinic in Dallas, hoping to break what she and other patients call an addiction.
It's like taking drugs. You know, I'll smoke on the cigarette and it'll calm me down. And to me, it is a physical addiction.
Scientists went before the Food and Drug Administration today to make the same point.
Is nicotine in cigarettes addictive?
Yes.
Any doubt in your mind?
No.
It's the scientific ammunition the FDA needs to move toward regulating nicotine as a drug, which could ultimately force tobacco companies to reduce the amount of nicotine in cigarettes. The tobacco lobby's doctors challenge the whole notion.
Neither clinical research nor clinical experience tell us that cigarette smoking is an addiction in the sense that drugs like alcohol, heroin, or cocaine are.
But many more experts say the need for nicotine is what keeps Americans smoking, a habit that kills 400,000 Americans every year.
The equivalent of 2 747s crashing every day for 365 days a year. I would submit to you that were that happening, that the FAA might ask the question, what's wrong with the airplanes?
Late today, the FDA ruled that nicotine is addictive. Now the tobacco industry is more worried than ever that the government could force them to cut the level of nicotine in their cigarettes to the point where nobody will want to smoke them. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News. After the murder of a child, parents demand warnings about known sex offenders.
An eye on America. Tonight, shopping for a cure. We'll tell you all about retail therapy.
Gas. When bloating, pain, and pressure tie you in knots, don't make the antacid mistake. Take this little pill instead. Maximum Strength Phazine. There's more gas relief in one Phazine soft gel than in a whole bottle of regular Maalox. All this Maalox can't get rid of gas, but with the liquid medicine in just one Phazine, the gas is gone. Take Phazine, and the gas is gone.
Timely news for asthma sufferers. You should know Primatene Mist starts to open clogged breathing passages in as fast as 15 seconds. So for asthma relief that starts in as fast as 15 seconds, trust Primatene Mist.
For a touch of arthritis pain, my husband takes Advil. Doctors recommend Advil most for minor arthritis pain, and it's gentler on his stomach than aspirin. He says Advil lets him get back to doing what he loves. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
This is a special night all around the country. Millions of Americans in thousands of communities are turning on the porch light and going outside to join up with the neighbors. It is the 11th annual Night Out, a national show of solidarity against crime.
And a horrible crime brought the people of one New Jersey town out of their homes today. As correspondent Jacqueline Adams reports, they're demanding that the government warn them when their children are at risk.
We have offenders, sex offenders that hurt children. They're released, and people are worried about their rights. They have no rights. None.
Thousands of angry New Jersey residents are fighting to protect their children from a now unknowable danger. Paroled or freed pedophiles and sex offenders living in their midst.
This has been a really awful time for my family. I never thought that I would experience having to bury my baby.
Maureen and Richard Kanka believe their 7-year-old daughter Megan would be alive today if they'd known that 3 sex offenders who'd met in prison were living in this house across the street.
This man had a little puppy. You know what little girls do with little puppies? They love my daughter loved little dogs.
33-year-old Jesse Timendakis has admitted that he strangled and raped Megan last Friday after luring her into his house by offering to show her a puppy. Did you know that right across the street, 3 released sex offenders were living?
They had no idea. Had no idea.
Today, pink ribbons dot their quiet neighborhood as Megan's friends and family channel their grief into a petition drive for what they're calling Megan's Law. It would force prison officials to notify a community when a sex offender moves in. Right now, 32 states require released sex offenders to register with police when they move into an area. But only Louisiana and Washington State require that the public be notified. Last year, though, outside Seattle, the house which freed child molester Joseph Gallardo was scheduled to move into burned. Police suspect arson.
Why are we telling people about sex offenders in their neighborhood and we're not telling them about armed robbers or arsonists?
Yet police in this town believe that a parent's right to know should come first, especially when dealing with a criminal with a violent sexual compulsion, which this state so far has no ability to stop. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Hamilton Township, New Jersey.
Another sequel of violence has unfolded in an inner-city section of Miami. You may recall the recent story of a motorist who was killed by a mob after he hit and injured a young girl. Now that crime has been compounded by the threat of more violence. Correspondent Reed Galen has the details.
In the Brownsville neighborhood of Miami, violence and fear are a vicious circle, drawn this time around 11-year-old Victoria Williams.
I was scared.
Her siblings and her mother.
I'm not going to just get over that in one night or 2 nights or 3 nights. This going to bother me until I go to the psychiatrist, and my daughter too, she got to go too. Bad dreams.
This American nightmare began about 3 weeks ago on this street when Victoria ran in front of a car driven by good citizen Charles Bells. Bells stopped to be sure she was all right and was murdered for his concern. A pack of young men attacked Bells, apparently because he was a convenient robbery target. Today, a 16-year-old with a criminal record was arraigned. After this and another arrest, some Brownsville area residents banged on Felicia Williams' apartment door and yelled threats at her and her daughter, apparently angry at them for even talking to police.
I want them to know that we ain't the one who told them. Somebody else did.
The visit might really have meant to intimidate the entire neighborhood, but Felicia Williams took her children and fled.
You don't never know what happened.
She got help from a prominent man she'd met at a memorial service for Bells, who was given the family a place to hide temporarily. Maybe the first place in their lives where these children have felt safe. Charles Bells' murder was not the first they have seen.
I seen a lady got killed.
Victoria's mother is desperate to escape the vicious circle, because beyond those who knocked on her door, now she has come to fear the neighborhood itself. Reed Galen, CBS News, Miami.
Your doctor said, what? Listen, if you're a woman and you get heartburn, should you take these, which have aluminum and magnesium, or should you take new Tums Ultra with calcium?
Tums Ultra tablets, which dose for dose neutralizes more acid than regular Mylanta or Maalox.
And gives you calcium. Something your body needs anyway. If you're not sure, ask your doctor. See what she says.
About Ultra.
You just bought a new Honda Accord DX for over 14 grand. Man, is it hot out. You go to turn on the air conditioning and guess what? It's not there. That Accord you just bought doesn't come with air conditioning, not to mention all this other stuff. No kidding. Just think, you could have had all that and more with the Achieva Special Edition, which sells for just $13,995. You will be. It's your money.
When's the last time you had a bowl of Wheaties?
It's been a while.
I've never had Wheaties before.
These are delicious.
I can taste the wheat.
I like it. Let me have another bite.
It's got more zip than Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes doesn't have the body. It doesn't do it compared to Wheaties. Wheaties has a little bit more oomph.
Why eat Corn Flakes when you can have Wheaties? Discover the toasted whole wheat taste of Wheaties.
I think I'll go buy a box.
Hey, Wheaties just lowered prices on popular size boxes. Bring them home today.
When you have a job like mine, you have to like to travel. After all, I've covered stories in practically every part of the world. Sometimes at a moment's notice. It can be the difference between getting a story and watching it somewhere else.
Ed Bradley, 60 Minutes, Sundays.
U.S. military helicopters and scouts are headed for the Dominican Republic to try to halt smuggling across the border to Haiti. The Dominican government said today it will allow an international force to patrol the border. That border is the weak link in a UN trade embargo aimed at ousting the military rulers of Haiti. The U.S. is now threatening an invasion unless the embargo does the job.
UN health officials say dysentery could kill up to 45,000 Rwandan refugees in Zaire. While medical workers battle the epidemic, other UN officials are fighting to win the trust of the refugees and convince them to go home to Rwanda. CBS News correspondent Barry Peterson reports from Zaire.
In an empty field with an audience of cows, they debate the fate of 1 million refugees. UN officials want these Hutu village elders to abandon disease-infested camps and lead their people home. Francois Hetegamana will tell his 20,000 villagers, don't go.
Those who have already gone, they have been killed. We don't know, it's rumors, huh? They have been killed. So people are still afraid to go back home.
Rumors reportedly spread by militiamen who fled Rwanda, a way to hold power over these people, no matter that it means this horror will go on indefinitely. UN officials are furious.
For how long can we continue supporting the camps here? Not too long. In the meantime, time is running out, and we really have to move fast to save lives.
USA! USA! Number one! Number one!
In essence, the deposed government is exploiting the world's good intentions. As Americans and others improve the camps, refugees can stay even longer. Death may be a rumor in Rwanda. It's reality here. Dysentery taking the first of what may be thousands. Now the epidemic is spreading out of the refugee camps and into the local Zairean population. This field hospital is not in a camp. It's in the town of Goma. It's barely 24 hours old, and it's filling up fast. Workers at one end still building, while doctors at the other hurriedly treat new arrivals. Ime is from Zaire. Her son has dysentery. She blames the refugees who camp around her house. Make them go, she says. This is one of those refugees. His mother is also sick.
Dysentery, cholera, and many other diseases will kill them.
At an orphanage in Goma, bed for the sickest is a chlorine-washed concrete floor. They know nothing about the debate over the future of the camps, but every day it drags on, more children will be infected. More children will die. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Goma, Zaire.
Stay with us for more of the CBS Evening News, including Army troops headed to the front to fight wildfires in the West.
New? What's new about Nutri-Grain?
Taste! We got taste! We got a whole new bowl you won't taste! Lots of taste! We've got big fat raisins! Crunchy almonds like a sweetened paste! Taste! Great taste! Yes, it's rare and all over our face! Once we were bland and low, but now we're low and low! 'Cause Nutri-Grain has no!
Oh, it's got
New Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal.
Go ahead, ask around. Hey, magazines will tell you. Your really good friends will even tell you.
The alpha-hydroxy acids in Alpha-Hydrox can reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles because Alpha-Hydrox is an exfoliant.
And now there's an Alpha-Hydrox formula for dry, oily, normal, and sensitive skin for under $10.
Are you listening, or are you too busy looking for new wrinkles? Alpha-Hydrox at drug, grocery, and discount stores.
Now, one pain reliever does more for arthritis sufferers than all others, Motrin IB.
I like the fact that Motrin IB works fast and right where my arthritis hurts. Tylenol can't do that.
I trust Motrin IB because I know how long doctors have been recommending it.
Motrin IB is much gentler on my stomach than aspirin. It's also sodium-free.
The fast cap package opens just like that.
Motrin IB. For arthritis sufferers, it all adds up to a better pain reliever.
Like food, you get heartburn. You take Maalox. Life is good.
And don't forget great tasting Maalox tablets, too.
These two brothers had no one to protect them from the abuse. Did they have to kill their father to save themselves? 48 Hours Wednesday.
Forecasters in Washington state issued a red flag alert today for lightning storms, the kind that ignite wildfires and keep them going. That was not what firefighters wanted to hear as they battle blazes in 8 states. But now reinforcements are arriving, U.S. Marines from California and soldiers from Texas. CBS News correspondent Vicki Mabry has a report.
Weary firefighters are working around the clock, trying to stay ahead of the rampaging blazes. With Mother Nature cooperating today, they're beginning to get a jump on dozens of fires that have bedeviled them, some for as long as a month. Calm winds have given the 14,000 firefighters a chance to dig trenches, dump water, and burn brush just ahead of advancing wildfires. They're being joined in their battle by Marines from Camp Pendleton, California.
We're here to do the job. We'll get it done. They wouldn't have called us if they didn't need us.
Fighters who received only a day's instruction before taking over the grunt work of clearing scrub and digging, freeing trained fire personnel for the front lines.
We're not trained to be firefighters, but we train to adapt and accept any situation and do our best to get the job done.
From Fort Hood, Texas, an Army battalion also is shipping out to help fight the fires. 800 troops are leaving tomorrow morning for Idaho, another 500 on Thursday leaving for Montana. Those are just 2 of the 8 western states where wildfires rage over 250,000 acres of land. So far, the fires, most caused by lightning strikes, have burned more than 2 million acres this year. That's more than the total number of acres burned in all of 1993, and the 94 fire season is just beginning.
Definitely has the potential to be one of the more severe or most severe fire seasons on record, and I think that we're in for a long haul based on what our weather forecasts are.
For the next few days, the forecast out west calls for scattered showers, thunder, lightning, and dry, erratic winds. Perfect weather for fanning flames. Vicki Mabry, CBS News, Fort Hood, Texas.
The American teenager who was caned in Singapore for vandalism is back in the news. Police in Kettering, Ohio say Michael Fay got into a scuffle the other day with his father. George Fay says the dust-up happened when he grounded his 19-year-old son for coming home late and drunk. George Fay called the police, but neither Fay was seriously hurt, and no charges were filed.
Coming up next, Eye on America. It's called retail therapy. You treat your illness by treating yourself.
Warms my soul. Had a bad dream. Warms my soul. Yes, it's cold.
Whoever heard of a cold cereal that made you feel warm all over? Quaker Honey Nut Toasted Oatmeal. Honey and almonds.
Warms my soul.
And crunchy little oatmeal oats on top. Quaker Toasted Oatmeal. It's cold,
but it warms my soul.
Is the gray in your mustache or beard making you look too old? Now there's Just for Men brush-in color gel, specially for the hard-to-color hair of mustaches and beards. This brush-in gel stays put to penetrate hard-to-color hair. In 5 minutes, rinse. Your mustache or beard blends with your natural hair color, and it won't fade or wash out.
Now that's a lot better.
Just for Men color gel from the leader in men's hair coloring.
You might be confused by all the different types of pain relievers and all their claims, but your doctor isn't. They call one type NSAIDs, like aspirin, ibuprofen, and the latest pain reliever with the main ingredient naproxen sodium. The pain reliever in Tylenol is different from all these, especially when it comes to your stomach. To varying degrees, every NSAID brand can sometimes cause the side effect of stomach irritation. Tylenol won't. The choice is clear. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver, for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
I was worried I needed surgery for my hemorrhoids, but the doctor said they weren't serious and to use Preparation H.
Preparation H, trusted by millions to often help relieve those intense hemorrhoidal symptoms of itching, burning, and painful irritation for hours. Trust. Doctor recommended Preparation H.
There are all kinds of proposals out there for overhauling the health insurance system, but none of them would cover one unusual therapy some doctors are recommending for their patients. It can be expensive, but doctors say it is effective, and no prescription is needed. Richard Threlkeld looks at treating illness over the counter in tonight's Eye on America.
Oh, isn't that a beauty?
You wouldn't know it, but Darcy Carroll has cancer. And what she's doing, opening a new batch of fancy perfume bottles she's just bought for herself, is a kind of therapy.
You get all this positive reinforcement. Here's the pill. Okay, we'll get rid of the pill.
Darcy's perfume bottles and earrings and all the other recent acquisitions that fill her house have made her feel better.
When I go into a store and I'm furiously buying, you know, the salespeople love you. And then when you tell them you've got cancer, they say, oh, gosh, you've got cancer. You look great. I can't believe you got cancer. And isn't it great? You're out and doing all these things. And this is wonderful.
You know the old joke, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. Well, it's no joke. Buying something for yourself, doing something special for yourself, is a natural response for somebody who's suffered a serious loss or an illness. It can be good medicine, this so-called retail therapy. Hester Hill, a social worker at Boston's Beth Israel Hospital and a cancer patient herself, says retail therapy is really therapy.
It's not a frivolous, it's not a shop till you drop philosophy. It has meaning and it is symbolic of whatever the struggles are going on in their lives at the time.
And you don't have to spend a fortune. Ask any of these people, they all have cancer. Noreen Giorgio went out and had her nails done.
But, you know, you feel sorry for yourself at different times and say, I deserve this. I just had, you know, chemotherapy. I was just sick for 3 days and now I deserve to have this.
Every time Bill Burns has to go to the hospital, he goes first class.
I've got a spectacular room overlooking the Charles River with a magnificent view, and I felt darn good about it.
But doesn't he worry about the bill?
We'll just try to live within our means as best we can, but if we stray without it every once in a while, so be it. I'm not worried about those things as much as I used to.
We're calling this hat heaven. Here you go.
Darcy has lots of hats, too.
This was my favorite.
She says all the shopping helps to remind herself that she's still the boss.
In a way, it sounds silly because it's just material goods, but it's something you're bringing into your home, and you're making these decisions, not some nurse or doctor telling you what to do.
Dr. Roger Lang, a cancer specialist, says it's also a healthy demonstration of faith in the future.
This is a form of affirmation that there's going to be a tomorrow and that they're going to live, and that kind of spirit may be manifested in shopping.
It's the reason Ted Rennick went out and finally bought what he always wanted, a 1954 MG, bright yellow.
I was nickel and diming the woman who was selling it, and my wife says, oh, knock it off, Buster. And Buster bought it.
How did it make you feel?
Oh, it's wonderful. Do you ever fulfill a dream?
Retail therapy can't cure these people of cancer, but it's made their lives a little brighter while the doctors do their best. In Boston, Richard Threlkeld for Eye on America.
And that's part of our world tonight. Coming up tomorrow on CBS This Morning, all the latest news, plus the Labor Secretary on baseball's labor dispute and the threat of a baseball strike next week.
And Dan and I will see you again tomorrow night. Thank you for joining us and for all of us at CBS News. Good night.
Good night.
Experience CBS News.
This is CBS.
We're nestled on a wooded hillside overlooking the lake in beautiful Shelburne, Vermont. We are Vermont's only life care retirement community. People live here independently, pursuing their many interests with the security of ever-present on-campus health care. I'm Deborah Reed, and I invite you to come by and learn more about this unique and affordable retirement option. We're open every day for tours. Call weekdays for an appointment.
Good evening and welcome to the Tri-State Cash 5 draw. Today is Tuesday. It's August 2nd, 1994, and we'll begin now with our lucky numbers, starting with 28, 11, 12, 17, and 33. Once again, we have 28, 11, 12, 17, and 33. And remember that there's a winner born every minute with Tri-State Cash 5.
Channel 3, Burlington.